my best.
All right, Zach Leary, you are the son of a kind of famous guy.
So I'm told. Yeah, this is true.
What was it like growing up with your dad, Timothy?
Well, I mean, it's a tough question to answer because when you're growing up with him, you don't know any different. It's just what you know. There's no contextual relevance to be able to contrast. So it was just like growing up with any father at the time. But when you're older, you start to kind of piece together that perhaps it was a little bit different. uh,
What stood out as different for you in later years when you realized this is your dad and this is what life is for me?
Mainly, I would say the people who were around.
Huh.
My parents were very social, and the company that they kept. I mean, just such extraordinary people. Just such great thinkers from the psychedelic world, the counterculture world, and rock stars, movie stars, and thinkers and writers and philosophers and artists and painters and just so many great minds around. And God, I wish I knew that at the time. I would have taken better advantage of it.
Yeah, taking some photos at least. Where are you
Yeah,
based these days, Zach?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Now you're coming out on in late May, May 31st and June 1st, I believe, is the Psychedelic Symposium.
Yeah.
You're pretty excited to come to Aspen. Have you been to Aspen before?
Yeah, I was at the same conference last year.
Oh, okay, great. This is the second one in the series, right?
Yeah, this is the second one. And last year, yeah, I played the same role. I was on a couple panels, but I also emceed the event. And it was just one day last year. So we're really excited to extend it to two. Yeah, it should be exciting. It's a great lineup this year.
Now let's just delve into the psychedelic stuff is taken off in Colorado. It's
Yeah.
we had in 2012 the legalization of marijuana, recreational marijuana. Now people are saying that that's a model for psilocybin mushrooms in Colorado. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say it's a similar model. I wouldn't call it exactly the same because there is a difference between cannabis and psilocybin. I'm of the opinion that you know adults over the age of 21 should be able to buy legally um, high quality pure psilocybin mushrooms from a regulated dispensary in a reasonable dosage amount. I'm not so sure that we should be selling, pounds to anybody who wants to buy it, but um, you know, to be able to have, safe access to it without threat of legal persecution is really necessary. Ending the war on drugs is, priority number one, because the war on drugs has proven to be such a complete devastation to the American landscape. But the Colorado model, at least right now, is a little different with the way that the plan is to kind of create these healing centers where you can go and have an assisted psychedelic experience under the care of a trained facilitator or a shaman or indigenous elder or something like that. So it's a little different. I do hope that it does lead to full legalization across the board, though.
Has anywhere else in the world legalized psilocybin?
Well, there are a lot of places out there that have some very legal gray areas, like Jamaica, for instance, and Costa Rica, Portugal, where, like, in places like Jamaica and Costa Rica, it's not legal or illegal. It's never been
It's not
part of
regulated.
it. It's just not regulated.
Yeah.
So you can buy it and consume it. And it's sold, at shops in Jamaica. You can find it kind of everywhere. And Portugal has, fully decriminalized all drugs across the board, but they don't have legal um, dispensaries where you can go and buy it. It's just decriminalized. So yes, there hasn't been a country in the world where it has been illegal and they've changed it to being fully legal. That has not happened yet. There have been provinces and countries that have decriminalized, but decrim is different than legalization. So
Right, right. I'm going to assume that you've used psilocybin.
Sure, anytime.
Tell me about the health benefits. I was reading somewhere about soldiers with PTSD getting psilocybin treatment. This is ages ago, and it was very beneficial, according to the article I read. Can you comment on the benefits of psilocybin?
Well, yeah, I mean the benefits are across the board. I mean, what you were just talking about was like a mental health example. In the last 10 years, um, the mental health community has really kind of intersected with the psychedelic community because psychedelics have proven to be very efficacious to treating mental health disorders that previously have not found very successful treatments. Um, Things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, sure, there's therapy and therapy is helpful, and sometimes medications are helpful for some, but for the most part, it's not. The mental health crisis in America is just, it's a crisis. It's an epidemic, and drugs like psilocybin have shown to be very beneficial for them. When used properly supervised, and have, part of a bigger treatment regimen. But psilocybin has been used for thousands of years for reasons far beyond mental health, and mental health is kind of the least of it, really. I mean, you have an ancestor somewhere that used psilocybin indigenously. It's been used across the globe for thousands of years in every corner of the globe because it grows everywhere. So it's not a new thing at all.
Yeah. What So the last year's law in Colorado was for plant-based psychedelics. Um, what else is on the horizon in terms of plant-based? I mean, that excludes LSD, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But what other
And
plant-based psychedelics are there out there? I'm very clueless on this. I've done mushrooms and LSD and everything like that, but else is out there? I'm very curious.
I mean, there's ayahuasca, which is going to be, shown to be very popular within the last decade. Ayahuasca tourism in South America is, pretty popular, boom for sure. So there's ayahuasca, there's peyote. Peyote is very, very important because it's used by Native Americans. Peyote is, and psilocybin, but peyote is probably the most um, indigenously used psychedelic in America, in the United States. So there's that. There's San Pedro, and peyote and San Pedro are mescaline-based plant medicines. There's bufo, 5-MeO-DMT, which is the comes from the toad, the Sonoran desert toad, which is a very powerful hallucinogen. So there's quite a few. I mean, it's a pretty long list.
Animal-based as well as plant-based, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you hope people get out of this symposium that's coming up in Aspen? I mean, you've got a lot of experience. You've got a lot to say. You've got a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge. I mean, what is the most important thing for people to get out of this?
Well, I think it's pretty well balanced. The symposium. It's well balanced in the sense that it's appropriate for the newcomer to come and learn kind of just about psychedelics in general, where they sit in the kind of the landscape of the American fabric, both in treatment of mental health, indigenous use, spiritual well-being, as well as like legalization and decrim movements. But then there's also some deeper dives into more, in-depth esoteric concepts. Like psychedelic integration and things of that nature. So it's kind of a mix. But I do think the symposium is a great event for people to attend who are already experts, who already have a lot of experience, or if you're just kind of reasonably curious and you just want to kind of, see what this is all about. You've heard the headlines, you've read the headlines, and you're like, okay, I want to learn more. It's a good one to attend for sure.
Great. Cool. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
I'm going to turn this off.